Hi everyone, welcome to this interview by Core Recruitment. Thanks very much for joining us. Core Recruitment, if you're not aware, is an international recruitment company. We deal at mid to senior level across lots of different sectors and areas. And we're doing this interview series to inject some positivity into the sector and meet some really interesting people. All of the interviews and articles that we're putting out there at the moment are available on our website, which is www.corerecruitment.com. And if you've got anybody that you would like to recommend to take part, who's an interesting entrepreneur, business leader, or industry character that you think has got a great story to share, then please do let me know. Now, I'm really, really pleased to be joined by this next individual who's James Nye, who's going to be telling us a little bit about his family business and his business, and also kind of like, an incredible trip and charity event that he's just about to undertake. How are you, James?
I'm good, Christian. Yeah, very good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm very good indeed. Now, every single time I see you at an industry networking event or a kind of like, a dinner or something like that, you've always got a massive smile on your face. You're always smiling. You're always upbeat. You're always happy. I ask about business, and it just sounds like every single day is a sunny day in the world of James Nye. Is that the case?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's good to be positive. I'm a big believer in the power of positivity and keeping things, upbeat. It's a tough gig out there, but you can always choose your mindset, and I try to choose as positive one as possible every day. So that's how I look out on life every day.
Excellent. Love to hear that. Now, for those who don't know you, kind of like, can you tell us a little bit about ACI and the business that you run day to day?
Yes, so ACI, Anglian Country Inns, started 30 years ago this year, Christian. Dad bought a little pub up on the Norfolk coast for a bit of fun. I think it's an area you know well. Beautiful part of the world. And 30 years later, we've got 10 sites. We're spread across sort of North Norfolk coast and North Hertfordshire. All different. We've managed to create a collection of pubs, restaurants, and hotels, food led and premium food led, but we've managed to preserve the independence of each site, and we've got a great reputation for high quality food and looking after people extremely well.
Excellent. Now, family businesses sound amazing. I know you've got sibling involved in the business and all of that kind of stuff as well, but do you take the politics to the Sunday dinner table? Can you leave it at home? Are there any script? I mean, I have two siblings, and my God, I cannot imagine running a business with either of them.
We manage about 5 or 10 minutes of non-business chat before it generally descends into talking it. Hey, look, family businesses are brilliant. You do get the best of times, and you do get some tough times too. My brother Howard's a big part of this business, and we run it together. And actually, it's a real privilege to be working with your family. And Dad's he started it up. He sort of stepped back a little bit, so he's uh, given Howard and I the empowerment to run the business, and he's put his belief in us, which is great. And yeah, despite all the challenges it might present, I think there are a lot more upsides that make running a family business really good fun. And yeah.
Excellent. Now, your sites are all obviously very individual. They're not kind of branded kind of like under a one banner or something like that. They all seem to have kind of like a lot of their own personalities. How do you come up with those concepts? And are there any common themes that kind of run throughout the whole company?
Yeah, sure. So look, it's hard. I think is how you run lots of different concepts alongside each other. But we spent a lot of time working on our DNA. So we live like a tree. All the branches go in different directions, but it's fed from the same roots. And I guess what brings us together is really good quality food. So we use a lot of local suppliers, and we tap into local communities and work with those a lot. We have good, brilliant kitchen teams that we empower to look at how they can design menus, and so we train good teams up. And the philosophy that runs through all our sites is the same, and that's fundamentally about making people happy. That's where it all starts, and that's what we would like to do. And then as we build it out, it's through having great, inspiring places, brilliant products, and teams, really friendly, personal teams. That's our sort of the thing that's consistent in all our sites.
Excellent. And like, I know it was a couple of years ago now, but it felt like when you opened your wedding venue in North Hertfordshire, kind of like, that there was a real step change in the business in terms of like, I don't know, kind of like, the size, the scale, what you guys were delivering. How are you finding that?
Yeah, it was that was 2017, I think. We bought a 15th century farmhouse and converted some barns that were derelict next to it. At the time, it was a huge project for us. Probably quite a lot to bite off in one go, and quite risky. But you know, almost 10 years down the line now, it's one of our biggest sites. It's performing brilliantly. We're doing over 100 weddings there a year, and we've got
Wow.
brilliant restaurant there. We've got a fantastic kitchen garden that's, it's really sort of pioneering some of the food we're doing about connecting, farm to fork and growing your own. So it's, 10 years down the line, I couldn't be happier with how that site's performing. And while it was a gamble back then, a calculated gamble, it's paid off. And yeah, it's really, really proud of that site.
Excellent. Very glad to hear it. Now, you sound like quite a sane person, but you're doing something which I find kind of like pretty incredible in terms of like the peddling for pubs kind of we're not peddling for pubs, hospitality rides as it's
Right.
kind of being rebranded. And I mean, just to get us up to speed with it, can you tell us a little bit about the mission and who you're cycling for?
Yeah, absolutely. So it started 5 years ago. There's a brilliant mind behind this, Katie Moses. I'm sure you're all aware of. She rallied a few of us to hop on some bikes and ride across Jordan, thinking we'd raise a few quid. I think she said we might raise £100,000 if we try really hard in a few years. And this is the fifth year we've done it, and we've raised £1.5 million for two brilliant charities so far. And those two charities are Only A Pavement Away, who they do an incredible job helping people from homelessness and from prison and from the ex-military into hospitality, giving them meaningful employment. I think they're nearly up to 1,000 people they've got into employment now. And yeah, this ride is one of the biggest fundraisers for them. So it's an incredibly important part of it. And the Licensed Trade Charity, who again do a brilliant role in our sector, effectively helping the people who help everyone else. They support so many people in hospitality who fall on tough times. They've got brilliant well-being and mental health program campaign. We've put it into Anglian Country Inns, and it's been brilliant. The support they give, and it's a brilliant charity. So these two charities do so much for hospitality, and that's why we fly out tomorrow morning. So that's why I'm maybe a little bit nervous. We're off to Vietnam. We've got over 400 kilometers of very hot. I think it's about 37 degrees out there at the moment. We're going through the mountains, so some massive climbs. It's going to be a serious challenge, this one. And there's about 30 of us going out there. But it's a brilliant fundraiser for these two charities. And, I've always believed in using businesses for the force of good. And I think I've been in the sector for 20 odd years now. And I've never seen a fundraiser like this. I've never seen everyone get behind it and supporting it. And it's something that has brought a lot to me as a person. But it's about giving back to the sector. And I can't think of a better way of doing it than supporting this ride.
So what training have you been doing so far, James?
I ran a half marathon about a month ago. I've been getting on the bike. I've been doing everything I can, but I'm still not too sure if it's going to be enough to prepare me for the heat and hills. Sadly, we don't have 35 degrees heat over here in the winter. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really positive about it and excited. But also, I'm just really I can't believe that, this little idea that Katie had 5 years ago is now in a multi-million-pound fundraiser, and just doing some brilliant work that allows these two charities to really, make a difference.
Absolutely. Now, delving in kind of like a little bit to kind of like licensed trade charity, because like
Yeah.
you mentioned you've put that into ACI kind of like as a business. And I just thought it'd be useful to kind of like take a couple of minutes to say kind of like how that's benefiting the people at the front line, how you engage them, what that process kind of looks like, because there'll be people kind of like looking at this thinking, well, what problem does that solve? So just to bring the charity to life a little bit, and then we'll do the same with Only a Pavement Away would be brilliant.
Yeah, sure. So look, one of you talked about what connects all our pubs. One of our sort of deep-rooted values is family first. And when we talk about family, it's not literally our family, it's the whole family who work with us at ACI. And I think when you start looking at the welfare of your team, and supporting and making sure they feel that there's a great place to work and all the challenges they face outside work. And I tell you what, in my time, I've seen a lot of people who face a lot of challenges outside of work. How work can be a place where we address those, we support those, and we help people through those is a really important part of building a strong, stable team. Last year we picked up a really powerful accolade, or really something I'm really proud of, and that was being named in the top 25 happiest places to work in hospitality from Code, which was a brilliant accolade, and that was voted for by our team. And we've got nearly 500 people in the team, and they're your front line. They're the most important part of the business, and if they're happy and engaged and feeling that they can bring them whole selves to work, then they apply themselves to work so much better. And we've got really good retention rates. We've got a brilliant bunch of people in the business. And so strategically, looking after our team is actually one of the most important parts of what we do at Anglian Country Inns. So with that in mind, the LTC have just relaunched their wellbeing platform. So all our staff get access to it, and it's not just the help desk. And I think historically people thought, oh, I don't need it, I don't have a problem. We sort of presented it more of something here that if you need it, there's supporting in all your parts of the life. So you don't have to go to it if you just got a crisis. It's there to help you with everything that you do. There's support there from mental health counsellors if they need it. There's obviously, in people in crisis can go there and look for loans and that part. But I think more powerfully, it's showing our team that we care about them, and the whole swathe of information they can look at on a day-to-day basis. It just helps them if they need a helping hand. And I think if you can break down that image of it's just only a place to go to crisis, it just takes that stigma away from it. It's just there to support and to help people. I like to think that people like I remember chatting to someone who was going through tough times, and I don't need any help, being very stoic about it. And I said, look, if you look at great sports people, they have coaches. They don't have coaches because they have problems. They have coaches to help them through good times and help them be better. And so we tried to switch mental health around from, rather than just being a life-saving crisis tool, it just helps you be a bit better with how you do things. And actually it's there to help improve and how can you be a bit better than you were before. And actually when you position wellbeing from that perspective, I think it has a much more accessible and more powerful resonance with the team.
100%. With Only a Pavement Away, so I've got to say Only a Pavement Away is very close to my heart as well. I think the work that Greg and his team do over there is absolutely phenomenal. I was actually just pulling up some statistics because he would kick my ass if I got them wrong. But there's 30.
I'm glad you've got them.
But there's over 34,000 households in Great Britain which are threatened with homelessness kind of currently. There's a 70% reoffending rate if somebody comes out of prison and doesn't have a job within a year. And there's over 135,000 people who are at risk of homelessness currently within the UK. And their mission is to try and support 5,000 people every single year, just 5,000 by 2030, and getting them into jobs, etc., within hospitality. So can you give us a little bit more flavour about Only a Pavement Away?
Yeah, look, I mean, you've nailed it. I think it's a big challenge that faces this country. You look at unemployment at the moment, it is rife. And look, I think hospitality is having its own challenges with that. However, what's the wonderful thing about hospitality is that it gives people opportunity. It employs, there's a very low barrier to entry, which some people dismiss, but actually it's a very powerful aspect of the industry, because it welcomes so many different people. And just because you might not have done well at school, or if you've got a checkered past, hospitality can be the future that gives you the opportunity and the confidence you need to get back on your feet. We employed a lot of young people who don't have jobs, but I think Only Pavement Away does a brilliant job in giving people confidence to find the ability to work again, because it's not just finding them the job, it's about helping people from who've been in prison and who've been on the streets. I think we're very privileged that we all have good jobs and stable lives, but these people have some very difficult backgrounds, and I think the real work that Only Pavement Away does is work with these people and condition them and actually give them the confidence to go and find a job again. And that's the bit that really makes a difference. Yeah, well, I've been chatting. We're looking to do a little bit of work with them. I'm an ambassador, and I do a lot of work on the fundraising side. It's about how do we start, embracing that. Where we are, it's slightly more difficult because we're slightly out in the sticks. But we're looking at what we can do to support local homelessness projects. But actually, it's just really giving people the opportunity to find meaningful work again. And Only a Pavement Away are a brilliant catalyst in giving people that second chance.
Absolutely. Now, James, as a person, you've really embraced the hospitality sector, especially all the hospitality networks and all of that kind of stuff. My God, if you ever choose to go into recruitment, I'm going to have a real issue. But kind of
Yeah.
like, but tell us a little bit about kind of like the networks within that you are a part of, and I guess what you get back out of it, as a business leader.
Yeah, look, hospitality's given me an incredible life. Um, I started washing pots and I worked my way up the chain, and I've had the fortune to end up where I am. But a lot of that is, there's so many great people I've met on the way. It's a tough gig, and especially I think when you start moving towards the upper end of hospitality, it can get quite lonely, and you feel a lot of the pressures that of running any business, yet alone a hospitality business, put on you. But the remarkable thing about hospitality is the people in it. Yeah, the networking is incredible. It's a very open industry. I've had, people be very kind to me in sharing insight, giving us a few pointers, just taking me under their wing a little bit. Um, and that gave me such confidence and strength to and insight to do what I do that it feels like I want to give back to that sector.
Hmm.
And so, Only Pavement Away, a bit of work I do. I'm trustee of the BII. I'm on the council at the UKH. So I do these roles to support a brilliant sector. It's given me so many opportunities and so many friends and great times that I love giving back to the sector. And it's fun as well. Despite all the doom and gloom around hospitality, one thing you can't deny is that it's a sector that knows how to have fun and enjoy itself. And I think that is very much needed in these modern times. So it's a place where I've learned, I've met great people who've now become my friends, and actually I get a huge amount of energy and enjoyment from giving back and helping other people. And like I say, it's a sector that I thoroughly believe in, and has given me so much. So it's a pleasure to do the same for others.
Absolutely. Now, I know that it's a challenging marketplace at the moment, and sometimes when you read the hospitality headlines, they can be a little bit depressing. The irony that I kind of find sometimes, though, is that there's the headline, which is doom, and then kind of underneath it, you've got kind of like 10 stories about kind of hospitality businesses that are thriving and opening new sites and kind of doing really well. Like, do you think that kind of like having this kind of like, negative headline in terms of the hospitality sector is, because I know it's a fine line to kind of like balance, but do you think that we're dissuading people from it, from investing and coming into the sector in terms of their careers? What's the balance that you think we need to strike in terms of being realistic, but also still being welcoming and positive about our industry?
Yeah, look, I think it's a tough one, a really tough one. You cannot deny that it's incredibly hard in hospitality at the moment, and a lot of people are feeling that on a real tangible basis.
Mm,
So, I don't think it's wrong to be leading those headlines. I think I think when you look at it from a political perspective, I think pubs have always been an economic issue for the government. And for the first time that I can remember, they're a political issue now. All the ministers have got pubs on their lips, hospitality's getting headline, sort of mentions in dispatches. So I think actually the benefit of the doom and gloom is that actually people are realizing the real power of hospitality, and not just the economic power, but the social power and the social impact that hospitality has is phenomenal. I don't know another industry that has so much positive social impact as hospitality. Um, so look, from that perspective, I think that it's certainly penetrating to the right places in government and putting the industry in a better position. And actually, I think the flip side is that it does create this environment where people are they feel it's a challenging sector to work in. But I think what you're seeing now is that with the unemployment market, people are coming back and looking for jobs. And actually, when you get it right, hospitality is a brilliant place to be. And I think historically, hospitality has a bit of a stigma about it. If you look at some of the big kitchens and big celebrity chefs who throw stuff at people and swear a lot, it's not a great image for the kitchen. If you look at some of the way that people discuss hospitality, it's tough. But actually, the reality of hospitality is, I think, it's very much changed. I think COVID has done a lot of that. It's forced the welfare of people in hospitality to improve vastly. So I think the bottom line of welfare for hospitality has improved. And when you start talking about investment, yeah, look, there's a lot of high level closures. I was at a conference the other day, and when you saw the list of people who've gone into administration over the last year or so, there are some big household names on there, right?
Mm.
So it's devastating. But at the same time, it's creating space for new opportunities and people who understand the modern way of operating, and people who can adjust to that are actually going to do quite well. So there's space coming into it. You see, obviously, Mr. Caring's done a big deal, a huge deal for the Ivy, but also Cubit House deal. Two deals that come up really recently that show that it's certainly not a dead sector. I think it's an undervalued sector, and I think actually with all this turmoil at the moment and challenge, there will be people reaching out. I mean, you look at Apollo and Fortress coming in, two massive, private investment uh, uh, people coming into the market, and that they're seeing opportunity. And
Mm.
so it's going to be very challenging for some, but I think actually we're going through a big transition mode in hospitality at the moment, and those that can adapt to new operating conditions are going to come out of it very strongly.
Absolutely, 100%. Now, being a family-focused business, and dealing with kind of quite a lot of family-focused businesses, sometimes at leadership level, it's difficult to get fresh thinking and fresh ideas kind of like into the company and into the business. How do you go about keeping up with kind of like all of the market trends? Is this a lot of the reason for the networking?
Networking is a big part of it. We've got some great mates who run really good businesses, so we go and do a lot of market research. But we send our team out as well. The way we're set up at ACI is that we're not holding all the decisions centrally. We empower a lot of our teams and we encourage them to go out and see what's happening. We want them to go out and find out what's happening on the street. So there's a lot of R&D trips. There's a lot of time spent on innovation, actually focusing on menu development. And again, I think historically we didn't necessarily have that focus and time allocated to it, but where we're seeing at the moment the market is that you have to be innovating. You've got to be doing something original, something fresh. It doesn't mean something crazy and wacky. It's just actually doing what you do better. So we've allocated more time to that, put more focus onto it in the business, and as a result, we've got 10 different menus, but they're all really exciting. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of menu tasting recently, and it's seeing the innovation coming through from the individuals at site rather than us telling them what to do at the top is really powerful, and they're really bought into it. They love that side. That's what drives people in hospitality. It's that passion for food and creating great experiences. And actually, if we can embrace that and put the time and effort into our teams to do the same, then guess what? They feel fulfilled. They're the ones that really engage with it and let them run with it. And generally, their ideas are probably better than ours. We put a few guidelines in where it has to where people maybe stray off the tracks a little bit, but fundamentally, it's about empowering our teams to be innovative and having this culture where we're embracing new ideas and letting people try things.
Love that. So when you guys go national as Anglian Country Inns, do you think you'll have to because you're going to keep on expanding and growing, right?
We've got plans. Where do we go national for the moment? Look, we like East Anglia. We see lots of potential here. Yeah, we've had great growth internally. We've added a few bits on recently. But yeah, we've got we've got expansion plans in mind. We've got a few targets at the moment. That we operate in sort of North London commuter belt and North Norfolk tourist zone. So they're two areas we know quite well. There's some really other interesting opportunities in East Anglia that we're going to look at for the time being. And I think we'll focus on the region to begin with, but then maybe national plans in a few years' time after that. But yeah, look, we've got a good situation, we've got good growth, got a good balance sheet, we've got a good finance partner who's provided a nice credit line for us. And most importantly, we've got a good bunch of people. We've got some really good people in the team. And I think if you've got the team in place to expand first, that's much more important than finding the right site. So, if we can use those and build them and then deploy them, then they can carry what we do with them. And then that gives us every chance of success.
Love that. Now, not every day is a sunny day in business. I always like saying this, and it's great talking about success and growth and all of those kind of like lovely things. But as we said, kind of like, not every business kind of like has that at the moment. So, the dirty word of failure, but is there anything that you've tried that really hasn't gone according to plan? And what did you get from it? What did you learn from it?
Um, yeah, we had a site over in Bishop Stortford that we'd opened up a place in Hitchin. We bought an old nightclub and turned it into this really nice sort of cocktail bar steakhouse. And it had gone off like an absolute rocket. And yeah, we thought we were invincible, so we went and bought something else in Bishop Stortford that we thought was on paper just the same but better. So we went in, spent a fortune on it. And after about 3 or 4 years, we realised we were flogging a dead donkey, and we ended up selling it. And yeah, it was quite painful. It was a site that, yeah, we were a lot younger back then. We were a lot. I think you either win or learn, Christian, right? That's our philosophy. And when we're winning, it's great. But yeah, we've learned quite a lot. And yeah, I think we've had a lot. That was, well, just after COVID, we sold that specific site. Yeah, I think we realised that we needed better structures in the business. Yeah, when we're doing new openings, you can't just go and make it look pretty and expect it to operate. So, yeah, we've done a hell of a lot of work internally around, people, processes, getting our marketing right. Just so now when we open new sites, we've got a much different approach to it, and we've done a few since then that have been much more successful. So, yeah, it's horrible when you don't get it right, and a lot of people try to sweep it under the carpet. We try to embrace, failures in the business, and see what you can learn from it, right? We had a tough Q4, and it was not we had a very very strong year so far, and then we had about 5 6 weeks it didn't quite go to plan. You can't go back and change it, but what you can do is learn from it. So we're all sitting down, working out actually what could we do next time. If we knew now what we knew then, what would we do differently? And actually, that's going to make our team stronger. That's our sort of our mentality. I think everyone faces challenges on a day-to-day basis. So how can you probably learn more from failure than you do from winning? I know that much. So embrace the process and, and see what you can take forward for next time.
I always seem to remember the failures like 10 times more than I remember the wins, though, James. That's the issue. Anyway, there you go.
And it's horrible. And psychologically, they stick with you for a long time, and you feel horrible about them. And I think once you can get over the emotional side of it, actually, there's a lot to dissect there. And actually, if you can pick out the good bits, and hopefully you don't fail, you don't do the same thing twice. That's what you got to do, or what you got to learn. So.
Yeah, 100%. And for my final question, in terms of innovation, like whether it's marketing, operations, experience, all of that kind of stuff, what are you looking at for the next 12 months? What are you super excited about?
So I think AI's got a lot to offer. I know it's the buzzword at the moment. Look, I don't think we're going to be investing in robot waiters. That's not our cup of tea. But with so much pressure on the business with workforce and labor costs and everything, I think AI can make things efficient. So what we're looking at is how can we introduce AI into the business that allows people to do what they do really well, and take some of the more repetitive process driven stuff away from them to free them up to be driving service, which is where they really make a difference. So we just launched a new AI HR platform, which it sort of marries up all our comms internally and our training, our HR process, and yeah, it's been really really effective. We really like what it's done, and it's just taken a load of the admin out that would probably, we were looking to potentially hire someone, for maybe another role and a half at junior level, but actually this platform's doing it instead. So that takes the pressure off the labor cost. So yeah, I see AI as being a really useful tool for us as long as it's applied in the right way. We're looking at other opportunities in business so we can deploy it to make it just more efficient without losing what makes ACI what it is.
Love that. James, thanks so much for having a chat. Good luck in Vietnam. I'm sure we're going to see lots of photos of kind of like cycling shorts and sweat and tears and blood and all of that kind of stuff. I hope you get a couple of drinks at the same time. Just next to James's name, as you should be able to see on the chat, there is the Just Giving link. It doesn't matter if it's well, hopefully it's not a fiver, hopefully it's a 50 or 100 or something like that. But if you want to get involved, then just copy and paste that link into the browser, and please do get involved with sponsoring because both of those charities are phenomenal. and really do need your support at the moment as well.
Yeah, Christian, thank you. Appreciate your support as well for that. That's really kind. So yeah, any donations, very, very warmly welcome and very much needed. So thank you.